Welcome to Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. We got cut off in the middle of my story talking about the highlight of my dance last night. It was this beautiful energy that developed between myself and Scott and Kelly, Paul's partner. And I was just in the middle of talking about it and my laptop went blip, didn't touch anything. It's been very naughty, the little gin in my machine. But anyway, I was just saying, I observed, I felt her looking at me, and then I smiled at her and she smiled back, and then we both turned and directed the energy back to Scott, and it was like a perfect isosceles triangle of just deep love and sweetness and recognition, and it was beautiful actually. It's really beautiful. So I really enjoyed that moment. Sometimes you have moments like that that are profoundly kind of spiritual, sweet and healthy and wholesome, and big agape unconditional love. It's just gorgeous. So I'm going to continue on with the story now, because we might get cut off again since my laptop's doing weird things. Right. Where did I get cut off? Right, I think we were here. One time, when after a long resting period beneath the earth, he surfaced once more, he found the whole scenery changed. What a surprise it was when, instead of impenetrable forests, he encountered flourishing fruit trees and fertile cropland. On fresh meadows, the cattle was grazing. On the mountain slope stood a solitary castle. So amazed he was about this new outlook and about the new beauty of the landscape that he did not even care about the people who, without his consent, were living and working here on his domain. Quite the contrary, he was willing to deal with and get to know these people, this haphazard mixture of spirit and animal. I guess we are kind of a haphazard mixture of spirit and animal. Thus, Many Turnip observed the people's way of life, so he could, in the shape of a farmhand, present himself to a farmer. Soon he was known as the very best farmhand in the village. Everything flourished in his hands. But his employer was a miser who was heartily thankful for his efforts. Many Turnip ran away from the farmer and worked as a valet to a judge. This judge was an unfair man and mocked the law. Yes, I had a family court lawyer, a judge like that. The fucking bastard. I called him out in his evil and his wig slipped sideways. Oh, was he very apologetic. It's amazing what happens when you call them out on their bullshit, but it was too late. I'd already been financially screwed and violated by his actions and that of my ex-husband and my mother's enablement as well. So I have to let go and let God. There's no point staying in that energy of negativity. I suffered for decades over it, and it didn't help me. It kept me trapped in a poverty hellscape. Sometimes you've just got to kick it to the curb and be free in another paradigm. Babies. Here's looking at you, Karen. I think she meant well, really. She did. She just didn't realise that can mean all sorts of things. Anyway. It's easy for those who have wealth and prestige and power and loving partners and families to be, judgmental and condescending. They didn't walk in my moccasins or boots or thongs or jandals or barefooted hobbits stomp through life, so they can't actually comprehend it. Isn't that wonderful for them? But Mama T's working on being free in another paradigm. However that coin lands, by the way, could go either way. Very conscious of that. That's why I'm taking delight in my sweetnesses with my friends in the bands and, their partners and people that come to dance and contribute their energy, delighting in it, because it's life force and it's creativity and it's wholesomeness and it's invigorating and it's healthy to dance in our own body, minds and spirits and be as free as we can possibly be with our little defiance. Dancing as fast as we can, am I right? Oh dear goddess. Anyway, I'm very happy today. I'm very happy. Which is good because I've been very unhappy, very distressed. So, swings and roundabouts. Eventually I'll come to my everything Zen zone where I really like to be. Nice little equilibrium. Not too much of one thing or the other. Because it can be, draining. Too much negativity, too much positivity and being in denial and being a bit fucking high on life all the time. You've got to have the 0 point field of equilibrium and working on that, getting back to that space. Right. Because Many Turnip did not wish to be of service to injustice, I hear you, brother, he quit his position with the judge. The judge in turn had him put in jail, from which he easily escaped through the keyhole, as is the way of the spirits. Many Turnip's first effort to engage in the ways of humans did not lead to a love of humans. I hear you on that one too, brother. By the gods. He was amazed at the fact that Mother Nature had handed out her gifts so lavishly to this sort of beast. Although he was displeased with him, he still would slip down to the valley to look at and listen to the people. We're animals, but we're kind of fascinating creatures at times. We have certain charms or allurements or embodiments. Unless you need a fucking colonoscopy. That shit is ugly as hell, people of it. Came up in my memories today. I put a stop to all of those because they were just too debilitating to me. I suffered immensely and it would take me 2 months to recover from each one. So Mama T said no. Oh, did I say no? Hell no. Oh, was I punished for it. But you know what? I'm getting better since they stopped finagling in my innards all the time. It's awful. Awful. I'm not saying other people shouldn't do it. Other people may need to do it or feel that they need to do it because they're brainwashed that they're going to need to do that to survive. I'm just saying no. I'm going out of this world without any major interferences. I can't abide it. It just makes me literally sick. Right, where was I? Right, he was displeased, but he couldn't stop going down to look at the people and listen to them. One day a waterfall drew his attention, and he heard happy girls' voices. What he beheld there made him for a moment forget his nature, and he wished he were an earthling. Out of the water came a young girl, charming in her innocence and adorable to look at. The companions were playing near the waterfall and jested and laughed. Minnie Turnip took on the shape of a raven and flew up to a big ash tree that overshadowed the water. But now he was a raven, saw with raven eyes and felt like a raven. So it was no surprise that he now felt more attracted to a nest of field mice than the bathing girls. Quickly he dropped into the bush below, transformed into a fair young man, and could drown himself in the sight of those young maidens. The girls were done with their water pleasure and returned home, but Minnie Turnip seemed to be locked in this place. He never left and waited, yearning for the return of the beautiful nymphs. Emma, the daughter of the king of Silesia, often walked with her companions through the meadows and woods of the mountains, or bathed by the waterfall. On a hot summer day around noon, the girl once again came with her entourage to the cool waterfall. How surprised the princess was when she saw that the whole scenery had changed completely. The roaring waterfall now rustled in a soft murmuring down marble steps into a wide marble basin, where a fountain sprayed in the centre. The basin was surrounded by a sea of fragrant, flourishing flowers. Left and right next to the basin were caves in the mountain, with walls decorated with wonderful mosaics, and enticing refreshments were being served. For a long time, the beautiful Emma stood there in silent wonder. But she was a woman and was not able to resist the delicious refreshments. Then she decided to take a bath and let herself glide into the water from the smooth edge of the marble basin. Hardly had her feet touched the pebble-covered bottom of the basin when she sank away into an endless depth. Before her companions noticed what happened, the princess had already vanished into the water that fell smoothly, silent, above her. The companions were shocked and terrified and did not know what to do, but to bring the king the sad message that his daughter had disappeared. The king tore his gown in his sadness and dismay, hid his face, and took his crown from his head. After a period of despair and mourning, the king decided to go and see the waterfall by himself. But alas, the whole lovely enchantment was gone. The waterfall rushed as usual upon the rough rocks. No marble basin to be seen, no caves decorated with mosaics. Still, the king believed the companion's story and could only explain the disappearance of his daughter by assuming that one of the gods, Thor or Woden, must have had a hand in it. The father soon recovered from the loss of his daughter, because earth kings never lose heart for a long time, except for the loss of their throne. Meanwhile, Emma was doing pretty well in the arms of her lover, the mountain spirit. He lay down at her feet as a noble young gentleman and kept faithful to his love. He showed her the beauty and riches of his subterranean castle, which had a delicious fancy garden around it with lovely singing birds. The lord of the underworld felt great and enjoyed the company of beautiful Emma, but she felt dejected and very gloomy. He thought to himself, "My Belle is lacking entertainment. She has no one to laugh and to play with. Humans are sociable creatures." Thinking this, he immediately flew up to the earth's surface, pulled out a dozen turnips, laid these in a basket, and brought them to the sad Emma. "You will not be sad any more, most beautiful one of all earth daughters," he said. "This basket contains everything you need to make your life pleasant. When you touch the turnips with your little magic wand, they will turn into the shape of whatever you want." The king's daughter did not hesitate one moment to use the magic wand. She activated the turnips with the wand and cried happy tears when she soon had all her girl companions around her on this meadow. There were even enough turnips to turn into a cat and a little doggy. For several weeks, Emma enjoyed her delightful life with her royal household. Then she found that the fresh colour on the faces of her companions turned pale, and their youthful fire slowly weakened. When one morning the princess entered their room, a bunch of old, shriveled women stumbled toward her, suffering from gout and whooping cough. Trembling with wrath, the princess called the mountain spirit, who appeared immediately. "Malicious ghost!" she yelled at him. "Give my companions their youth back at once, otherwise I will punish you with hatred and contempt." "Do not be angry, most beautiful of all daughters of the earth," the unfortunate lord of the underworld answered. "I will do everything I can for your happiness. But it is impossible for me to give your companions their youth back. The magic wand can only bewitch the plant life to your wishes as long as there still is life in the turnips. But now their juices are dried up and the life-giving vital force has been lost." But do not be sad any more, my love. A freshly filled basket will quickly replace the companions. The mountain spirit disappeared, but shortly afterwards he reappeared before the beautiful Emma with an empty basket and drooping shoulders. "I promised you more than I was able to give, beautiful mistress. I have crossed the entire country, but it is winter on earth and the turnips lie shriveled in dark cellars. Be patient for just 3 little months, and you will be playing with your friends once more. The beautiful one angrily turned her back on him, went to her room, and did not speak another word to him. Minnie Turnip travelled once more to the earth, bought a bag of turnip seeds, and sowed these on his lands. He ordered the dwarves to heat up an underground fire to help the seeds grow from below. The turnip seed thrived and turned into a good harvest in a short time. With sadness in her eyes, Emma sat every day at the brook side and thought of the young monarch Ratibor, who she loved dearly with all her heart and soul. But she hid her feelings deep inside, so the mountain spirit would not notice, and she pondered on how she might escape. Finally, the turnips came to full maturity. Every day, the sly Emma pulled out a few of them and just pretended she had a good time with creating all kinds of figures out of them. But she had other plans. One day, she had a small turnip change into a bee. She sent the bee to her beloved to buzz him in the air that Emma was still alive. But the bee had hardly left her finger when a swallow in a quick dive swallowed the bee. Then Emma had the magic wand create a cricket, which she sent away with a love message to the young King Ratibor. Briskly the cricket jumped and flew away, but a stork grabbed it with its long beak and devoured it. The clever Emma did not give up hope, but created out of the third turnip a magpie. Please tell my love about my imprisonment, and tell him that he should wait for me in the May Valley. The magpie fluttered away and found King Ratibor, who was roaming through the woods, desperate and full of sadness about his beloved Emma. He sat beneath an oak tree, thought about his loved one, and sighed her name over and over again. Then he heard someone call his name, Ratibor. He could not see anybody and thought he was wrong, but then again he heard his name. He caught sight of the magpie and saw that it was the bird who was calling his name. He was about to furiously throw a stone when he heard the name Emma. Hearing this name made the monarch's arm relax again, and now the magpie began speaking its message. King Ratibor rejoiced completely. He hurried back to his castle, slipped into his armour, and rode with his entourage to the verge of the mountains, into the May Valley. With her feminine wiles, Emma, in the meantime, had prepared everything to carry out her escape. Dressed in her bridal gown, she paid a visit to the mountain spirit. I cannot resist you any longer, master of my heart, she said in her sweetest voice. The Lord of the underworld shivered with desire. But fearful doubts tear my heart apart, the princess continued, for you will never grow old, but my earthly beauty is like a wilting flower. How will I be sure that you will always be my tender, loving consort? Demand, as a proof of the strength of my love, anything you wish, he answered. Yes, said Emma, I do need proof of your love. I wish for all the turnips in your field to be my bridesmaids. Go now and count them all, but beware that you do not deceive me and do not miscount, because from this I will measure your love. Reluctantly, the amorous mountain spirit left the beautiful Emma, but he obeyed without hesitation. Yet, no matter how many times he counted the turnips in the field, he couldn't get the same number. Love can mess up the best mathematical genius. No sooner had the mountain spirit left Emma did she take a big, juicy turnip and change it into a bold, saddled horse that carried her as fast as the wind toward the May Valley. There, filled with joy, she fell into the arms of her beloved Ratibor. The lord of the underworld was so engaged in counting that he did not hear or see anything that happened. Finally, he succeeded in determining the right number of turnips. Happily, he hurried back to his castle and called for his beloved. He searched in every corner, but his castle was silent and empty. Then it occurred to him that he had been deceived, and he quickly rushed up into the air and saw the beautiful Emma in the distance, jumping on her fast horse across the border of his realm. He hurled his thunder and lightning toward her, but on the other side of the border, the wrath and revenge of the mountain spirit did not have any effect. Despairingly, he crossed the upper layers of the atmosphere and returned, full of grief, to his realm beneath the earth. There he remained for a long time, burdened by his broken-hearted feelings. But one day he returned to the surface in a very wrathful mood and uttered terrible curses against humankind. He swore he would never again set his eyes upon these worthless creatures. When he made this decision, he stamped his feet on the earth 3 times with all his strength, and nothing remained of the wonderful palace. The earth burst open and big gorges, and the Lord of the underworld descended deeply into his domain. The people in this area, who so far did not have a name for the mountain spirit, from then on called him the derisive name, Many Turner. Legend from Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia. The mountain spirit from the giant mountains and legends and fairy tales is more than a fairy-like figure. He is a healer, magician, shapeshifter, a person without boundaries, whose unrestrained breath is expressed like a storm, pardon me, and a roaring laughter. Many Turnip, German, Rupertsaal, is portrayed as a Woden Donor Gestalt, a drifter through the worlds and lord of the underworld. In the tales about him, characteristics of a shaman shine through, and to those who wish to hear these stories still carry something of the shamanism of ancient Europe. Right, let's just see how long this story is. Because there's a lot more stories in this chapter than they normally have. Alright, one more story, one more people of it, then we'll quit for the day. The Three Swans. Even today there are stories about a lake in the Harz area of ancient times that from time to time was the visiting place of three swans. My grandfather Erich Meyer, my non-biological grandfather, who raised my mother as his own from birth, but he wasn't actually her father. It's complicated, people. But anyway, he was dying of TB, towards the end of the war. Well, he had been dying of TB for quite some time. But anyway, they sent him to the Harz Mountains, to a sanatorium, which they believed in Germany or in Europe at the time, that tuberculosis patients had better chance of recovering in the crisp, clean mountain air. So they sent him there. Got photos of him lying on his bed, looking out the window, trying not to die. He did eventually succumb to TB on the 12th of April 1945, just before the war ended actually, which is a great shame. Went through all that horrific trauma and then fucking died of TB. It's just ghastly. People's fates. Ghastly. But anyway, it just triggered that memory because the Harz Mountains. Right. One day there was a lad who was looking languishingly at these swans. Ah, if only I could catch them. What a joy this would bring to me. But he could find no way to do it. The next day he returned to the lake, and again the three swans were swimming there. Then the lad thought, maybe they will come to me when I sing a song. So he sang a song, and yes, the swans turned their heads toward him and swam closer. But when they were close to the bank of the lake and he wanted to grab them, they raised themselves and flew away. The third day, the boy went to the lake, and again he saw the swans. A great desire grew in him, and he said to himself, even if it costs me my life, I will get them. On the shore there was a big old tree that had been uprooted by a storm. Its rotting branches were half under water. The boy drew the trunk into the water, sat on it, and rowed with his hands towards the swans. I'm actually starting to shake. The energy that's coming to me from this person, I have a fairly good idea who it is so intense. It's a living person. It's making me shake. I'll have to go and have something to eat and settle down after this and maybe have another sleep too. I wonder who it is. He's just so focused on me today. He was already a long way offshore when a swan turned to him and asked, "What do you want from us?" "You look so beautiful," said the lad. "I want to possess you." Beware of that, people, the people being possessive. Real love is given freely and flows freely, beautifully. No control dramas, just gifted and flowing and harmonious, peaceful and honouring. Maybe that's what I want anyway. Kind of have to laugh. But no, it was a spiritual night last night. There was a very lovely energy between all of us. Very, very potent and beautiful. And I wasn't imagining it because, as I said, I got the confirmation when I felt someone watching me and I saw the beautiful Kelly observing too and sharing in the energy. It's quite magical. Goddess bless. Then watch out that no mishap comes to you because you will never be able to catch us. I fear no accident. When I own you, then I will be happy. The boy stretched out his hand to the swan's neck, but she got away. The lad lost his balance and tumbled down from the trunk into the deep lake. When he came to his senses, he lay on a meadow. Surprised, he looked around. Instead of meadow grass, he saw eelgrass, and instead of multicoloured meadow flowers, water lilies grew here. The sky was gloomy and grey. If you looked more carefully, you could see the dancing movements of the water above. But the boy did not know what he had fallen into. 3 most beautiful girls came toward him, and the eldest of them said, "We are those swans. We are protectors of the water. The human hand that touches us will immediately grow stiff and die. But because you are still young, we pity you. So we decided that you may live here with us. All your wishes will be fulfilled except one. You will never return to the surface of the earth." Then they took the boy by the hand and showed him his new homeland. They came to a house that had been built entirely of mussel shells, and its rooms glittered and sparkled. Water nymphs and fishwives rushed by and performed their duties. silently. One room was filled with young girls who were weaving the sunbeams that had gotten lost in the lake into a shining cloth. They gave the boy friendly nods. In the mussel house garden sparkled 3 springs into 3 basins inlaid with mussel shells. Many boys were scouring the basins clean, and the water was crystal clear. "Who are all these girls and boys here?" the boy asked his chicharrones. "They are all children that have fallen into the lake, and would have died if we had not taken them in. Now they work and live here in a large community without needs or sorrows. At night the girls sing, and sometimes their singing permeates through the water to the people up there. You will be happy, all right, with us." Thus the lad stayed on the bottom of the lake with the 3 girls, and together with the other boys he looked after the spring water basins. He was happy, and did not want anything else. Many years passed, and the boy hardly thought about the earth with the people, the sun, the animals and plants. Then one day a girl approached him and said, "You have been diligent and loyal, so I want to take you with me to the surface of the lake. From now on you may go up with me once a month when the moon is full." She took his hand, and he lost consciousness. When he opened his eyes again, he sat on the back of one of the swans, drifting about on the surface of the lake. The lad reached out his arms to the warming sunlight. Breathing deeply the fresh air and looking delightedly at the flourishing meadow, he said, "How could I ever forget how wonderfully beautiful the earth is? Ah, if only I could stay here forever," he said with tears in his eyes. When the swans heard this, they also had tears in their eyes and were sad because the boy did not want to be with them. "The earth still has power over him," they said. "We will lose him to the earth." I notice because English is her second language, she keeps spelling loose instead of lose. Just one little mistake in this entire book, but it's amusing. From then on, the lad beneath the lake felt sad every day, and longing for the earth grew stronger all the time. His life with the comrades of the community continued peacefully, just like before his little outing to the earth. But the 3 girls did notice his growing sadness. When once again the moon was full, they again took him with them up to the earth. When this time he woke up, he found himself on a small island lying beneath a tree. He enjoyed his sojourn on the fresh air under the sun on earth. Back in the mussel house beneath the lake, he waited once again, restlessly and nostalgically, for the next full moon. The time of the full moon dawned, and the girls again took him up to the earth's surface. This time they laid him in the high grass on the bank of the lake. When the lad woke up and saw where he was, he laughed and cried at the same time with pure happiness. Something rustled, and when he turned around, there stood an old woman behind him, leaning on a knotted stick. "Ah, young man, what are you doing here? Were you so stupid to go on to the lake? Is then the earth not beautiful enough?" "No," said the lad. "On earth it's absolutely wonderful." "Well, why don't you stay here then?" said the old lady. "Just run away from the lake so the girls cannot take you back." The boy fiercely shook his head. "No, I would rather die of desire than run faithlessly from here. They did save my life and took me in with them, so I would never just run away from them." The old woman softly laughed. The lad jumped up, ran to the edge of the lake and called for the swans. "Take me back with you to the domain beneath the lake. I do not want to see the earth again, not the sun, not the flowers, because when I long for them, I cannot be happy." Suddenly, the three girls stood next to him on the bank and smiled at him sadly when the elder said, "If you were able to forget the earth, the sight would have meant nothing to you. Our little trips would have made you only happier and richer. You have a strong desire for the earth, but still you have kept loyal to us. We want to reward you for that. Go back to the earth, but know that you will never be able to return to us." Should you once in a while long for us, show up here on a full moon night and call us. Before the lad looked up again, the three girls had disappeared. Overjoyed, he ran back to his village. But what a shock it was to see that in his village there were only strangers. His parents had long passed away. His family had moved. He had forgotten that he had been living on the bottom of the lake for a very long time and was no lad any more. And he found out how hard life on earth was. Food was scarce, the children and old people cried, and only the rulers lived in prosperity in their big castles. What a miserable life! While the young man looked around him with wide open eyes, the earth did not look so beautiful as it did a while ago. Why was he here? He already felt nostalgia for the life beneath the lake. Sun and wind he had gained, but at what cost? A life on earth without contentment and without joy. It still was a long time before the next full moon when he could summon the girls. So he wandered through the villages and helped the people in the fields with their labour. At night, when he sat with them before their cabins, he told them about the life beneath the lake. And with each story, nostalgia grew inside him for the life he was talking about. At last the full moon arrived. That night he stood by the lake and summoned the girls. The water opened up and 3 swans came out of the depths of the lake to the surface. They swam toward him and called, "You summoned us. What do you want from us?" "Just take me with you again. I cannot live here on earth. This earth here is not a happy one for me. In the land beneath the lake, work and life are a joy. Up here it is only sorrow and misery. No matter how hard the people work here, the reward for it never returns into their hands." The eldest of the swans came closer to the young man and shook her head slowly and spoke. "We have fulfilled your wish and took care that you did return to earth, so now you have to remain there. Go, travel the earth and tell the people about our life beneath the water, about the joy of life. Return to them through your words their hopes that life's pain will pass when they reawaken the joy in their hearts from the sorrowful sleep that can suffocate every joy." Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, babies. You gave up a life for the treasure of experiencing the sun and wind. Now pass this experience on to the people. Go and tell them. However, when you have grown old, come back to the lake and summon us." The swans wished him luck on his path and disappeared. The young man went all over the wide world and told the people, which I'm doing via the internet, by the way, since I can't afford to travel. My blessed, beautiful people of earth, my darlings, my earth angels, my friends, my family, my supporters, my YouTube audience. Here we are. Here we are, babies, holding our own on planet Earth. The young man went all over the wide world and told the people about the hope and the joy of the wind and the sun. His words were seeds sown into the hearts of many, and they flourished there and made them happy. When he turned grey, he dragged his tired body back to the bank of the lake that he loved more than life on earth. It was a dark night when he stood there again, not a clear full moon night. Slowly he spoke to the darkness. "I have done what you wished me to do. I awakened the longing and hope in the people's hearts and gave them the assurance that inside of them lives a joy for life that is not nourished by bread, but by the sun and the wind and the love of life. Now they know that their life is not limited to life on earth. Now they know, but also that there is life beneath the lake in the subterranean depths of our consciousness, people of earth, in our hearts, minds, bodies and soul, the life-death-life experience. Now I wish to return to you return to the life beneath the lake. I am tired of living on earth. Something to think about, isn't it? I've been through this process 15 times, maybe even more. Some I may have forgotten. It's a constant whetting, whelping, chiseling away at my spirit, my becoming. But there was much love last night. Much, much love. Makes living on earth just a little bit more bearable, my darling ones. Softer he spoke, like the whispering of the wind. While the wind kept its breath, the old man went into the lake and was never seen again. Fairy tale from the Harz Mountain, Germany. Some old German fairy tales describe the image of the world beneath the lake, the world of Earth Mother Holle, from whose womb all life originates and where it all returns. The swan is one of the old mythic animals of northern Europe and Siberia. Numerous findings from the Bronze Age with pictures of swans give evidence of a special worship of the swan as a sacred animal. In Greek poetry, about 200 BC, there are stories about a land of amber in the north, in which the singing swans played an important role. It was said that the swans, just by their flight, cleansed the sacred places, and they used to sing the sacred songs along with the temple keepers. In the vicinity of Beograd, the swan wagons, made from clay in the 13th century, are well known. In myths and legends, the swan is often the companion toward the kingdom of the dead and is always considered to encompass a metamorphosis over which no mortal has any influence. Every metamorphosis, or swan girl or boy, always remains somebody from the other side and needs to return to the homeland as soon as he or she takes on the swan gown again. And that's it for today. We'll continue tomorrow with the next chapter. A couple of chapters because these are short ones. And I won't tell you the titles, I'll read them to you tomorrow. Oh, I just closed the book. We need a what's the word for the thing you put in your book? Anyway, I just put napkins and had them. Sailor bear babies. Very tired now. Had a very, very intense week actually. It's been astonishing, people. I've pulled myself up from full breakdown mode. Was it Tuesday morning? I told my psychiatrist about it on Wednesday. And then I've flown like a swan in a gown. It's astonishing. Got my eagle feather on. I'm going to go to the supermarket and buy some food and have some nice lunch of some kind. A bit peckish, actually. A little bit peckish. Then I might have a little nap. And then I'll see how I feel, whether I go dancing again tonight. 2 nights is probably too much for me. But I may not. I'll see how I feel. Anyway, this concludes today's readings of Eve and Date and the goddess, God and the goddess, and all manifestations of holiness, of creativity, of hope and love and joyfulness and shalom. Bless us all here on planet Earth, and hope you enjoyed today's stories, including my weird little segues and meanderings. Can be a bit weird, I know. It's just how I roll, babies. It's older age. Try not to descend into, madness. I think I'm doing okay for someone who's nearly 60 though. My mother didn't lose her mind till she was in her 70s. I noticed it early and nobody believed me because they were all about this, getting control over her. Married her when she was demented. That wedding was not even legal, quite frankly. She was out of a fucking tree. But anyway, I guess if I got married again, I'd have to be out of my tree too. But anyway, it's a funny thought. It's a funny thought. Funny old world. Anyway, today's a beautiful day. So I'm going to go and get something fit to eat for lunch and just flow with the sunshine outside and enjoy the rest of my afternoon, evening and night. And I send much love from the upper world, the middle world on which we reside here with our feet on Mother Earth, and the underworld, the lower worlds, in perfect harmonic resonance, perfect balance, all serving their purpose at the appointed time in the space-time continuum. Be happy and be at peace, my beloved ones. Bye for now.